Dr. Maya Collins walked down the long hallway of the space station. Her hands shook a little as she held her research papers. Today was the most important day of her life. She had worked for 5 years on her project about human minds and how they worked. Now she had to present it to the smartest beings in the galaxy. The Galactic Academic Council met once every year. Scientists from 12 different alien worlds came together to decide what research would get money and support. Maya was the first human ever invited to present her work. She should have felt proud, but instead she felt scared. The council room was huge. The ceiling stretched so high that Maya could barely see the top. 12 different types of aliens sat in a circle around a small platform in the center. Maya had studied all their species before coming here, but seeing them in person was different. Zephyrians looked like walking crystals. Their bodies were made of clear blue stone that rang like bells when they moved. They were known for being the best at storing information. Next to them sat the Karathi, who had 8 long arms like an octopus. Their species was famous for thinking about many things at the same time. Ethereals floated in the air without touching the ground. They looked like smoke given shape, changing form as they moved. People said they could read thoughts, though. Maya hoped that was not true. The Vorthans had 4 eyes and purple skin. They were the oldest species in the galaxy and thought they knew everything. Maya stepped onto the platform. A bright light shone down on her, making it hard to see the council members clearly. She cleared her throat and began to speak. Honored council members, I come before you today to present my research on consciousness transfer. For the past 5 years, I have been studying how human minds work differently from other species. One of the Zephyrians made a sound like breaking glass, which Maya knew meant disagreement. The translation device in her ear turned the sound into words. Human minds are simple. What could you possibly know that we do not? Maya felt her face get hot, but she kept talking. That is exactly why my research is important. Human minds are different, not simple. While other species have focused on copying consciousness into machines, I believe we should study the connection between quantum fields and living brains. A Karathi waved several arms in the air. Through the translator, Maya heard laughter. Child species thinks it understands quantum science better than us. We have studied these things for thousands of years before your world even had fire. The leader of the Vorthans stood up. He was tall and thin, with skin that changed color as he talked. Human Maya Collins, your species joined our federation only 50 years ago. You are babies compared to us. What makes you think you can contribute to real science? Maya took a deep breath. She had expected this reaction, but it still hurt. Because we see things differently. Every species here has tried the same approach for thousands of years. You copy minds into computer systems, but the copies are never quite right. They miss something important. And you think you know what that is? Asked an ethereal, its voice sounding like wind through leaves. Yes, Maya said, her voice getting stronger. I think consciousness is not just information. It is a living thing that needs both quantum fields and biological matter to work properly. Human brains evolved in a special way that might let us understand this better. The council chamber became quiet. Maya could hear her own heartbeat. She looked around at the alien faces, trying to read their expressions. The Zephyrians were chiming softly, which could mean they were thinking or that they were annoyed. The Karathi had pulled their arms close to their bodies, a sign of discomfort. The Vorthan leader's skin turned a deep red color. You speak of theories with no proof. Science requires evidence, not guesses and feelings. This is exactly why younger species should not attempt advanced research. But I do have proof, Maya said quickly. She activated her portable display, showing brain scans and quantum field measurements. Look at these readings from human test subjects. The quantum activity in our brains is different from any other species on record. An ethereal floated closer to the display. These readings could be measurement errors. Human technology is not advanced enough to make accurate quantum measurements. Maya felt her hopes sinking. The measurements were checked multiple times with different equipment. The patterns are consistent across all human subjects. Patterns that could be explained by biological defects, said a Karathi. Perhaps human. Brains are damaged compared to normal species. The words hit Maya like a punch. She had dedicated her life to this research, and they were calling human brains defective. They are not defects. They are differences that could be advantages. The Vorthan leader made a gesture that meant the discussion was over. Dr. Collins, your enthusiasm is noted, but science cannot be based on hope and speculation. The advanced species of this galaxy have developed careful methods over millions of years. We cannot allow primitive approaches to interfere with real progress. You call us primitive, but you have been trying the same failed approaches for thousands of years. Maya said, her voice rising. Maybe it is time to try something new. The Zephyrians chimed loudly, a sound that made Maya's ears hurt. Arrogance. From a species that learned to fly between stars only yesterday. This is why humans are not ready for advanced science. The council began talking among themselves in their own languages. Maya stood on the platform, feeling small and alone. The translation devices could not keep up with all the different conversations, but she caught words like immature, dangerous, and should be stopped. Finally, the Vorthan leader raised his hand for silence. The Galactic Academic Council has made its decision. Your application for research funding is denied. Your theories are too speculative and your methods too uncertain. Perhaps in a few hundred years, when humanity has learned proper scientific discipline, we will reconsider. Maya felt like the air had been sucked out of her lungs. You are making a mistake. Human consciousness research could help everyone. The mistake would be allowing unproven theories to waste resources that could support real science. The ethereal replied, "This decision is final." As Maya walked out of the council chamber, she passed laboratories full of alien scientists working on projects that would change the galaxy. Advanced computers that could think faster than any biological brain. Machines that could create matter from energy. Weapons that could destroy entire star systems, but no humans were working on any of these projects. Humanity was welcome in the Federation as soldiers and workers, but not as scientists. They were considered too young, too primitive, too different to contribute real knowledge. Maya stood at a window looking out at the stars. Somewhere among those lights was Earth, her home world where billions of humans lived and worked and dreamed. They all had the same type of brain that the council had just called defective. Dr. Alex Turner found her there an hour later. He was Maya's closest friend and research partner. "I heard what happened," he said quietly. "I am sorry." "They would not even look at the data properly," Maya said. "They decided we were wrong before I finished talking. So what do we do now?" Maya turned away from the window. Her face was set with determination that Alex had seen before. It was the look she got when someone told her something was impossible. "We proved them wrong," she said. "If they will not teach us their methods, we will create our own. If they will not fund our research, we will find another way." Humans have never needed permission to be brilliant. Alex smiled. He knew that look meant Maya had already started planning something big. "What do you have in mind?" "We go home," Maya said. "And we show the galaxy what human science can really do." 3 years had passed since Maya Collins returned to Earth with nothing but rejection and anger. Now she stood in a secret laboratory built deep under the Arizona desert. The walls were made of thick concrete to hide the energy signals from their experiments. Only a few trusted people knew this place existed. Maya looked around at her team of scientists. All of them had been rejected by the Galactic Council just like her. Dr. Lisa Park sat at a computer, her fingers dancing across the keyboard. The alien Zephyrians had called her quantum theories impossible nonsense. Dr. Carlos Rivera worked on a strange machine that looked like a brain made of metal and crystal. The Karathi had laughed at his biological computer designs. Dr. Kevin Jang studied brain scans on a large screen. His neural mapping work had been dismissed by the ethereals as crude cave paintings. But here in this hidden lab, away from alien judgment, their ideas were coming together in amazing ways. The Federation. Scientists are doing everything backwards, Maya explained to her team as they gathered around a holographic display of a human brain. The image rotated slowly, showing billions of neural pathways lighting up like tiny stars. They treat consciousness like computer data that can be copied and moved around. But what if that is completely wrong? Lisa looked up from her computer. You mean consciousness is not just information stored in the brain? Exactly, Maya said, pointing to the floating brain image. What if consciousness is something that happens when quantum fields interact with living brain tissue? The aliens try to copy minds into machines, but they always create incomplete copies because machines cannot generate the right quantum fields. Carlos nodded excitedly. That explains why their artificial consciousness projects always fail after a few months. The copied minds start to break down because they are missing the biological component. But humans are different, Maya continued. Our brains evolved on Earth, which has a unique electromagnetic field. Maybe our consciousness works in ways that other species cannot understand or copy. Kevin pointed to detailed brain scans on his screen. Look at these quantum field measurements from human subjects. The patterns are unlike anything recorded from other species. Our thoughts seem to exist in multiple quantum states at the same time, Maya smiled. This was the breakthrough she had been hoping for. If we are right, then humans might be able to transfer consciousness in ways that other species cannot. Not copying it, but actually moving it while keeping all the quantum properties intact. The team worked day and night for months. They built machines that no alien scientist had ever imagined. Instead of trying to copy consciousness into computers, they created quantum biological hybrid systems. These used both artificial components and living human brain tissue, grown in special chambers. Their first test subject was a laboratory mouse. The tiny animal was placed in a scanning chamber that mapped every detail of its brain and quantum field patterns. Then, instead of copying this information into a computer, they transferred it into a hybrid system that combined artificial quantum processors with living neural tissue. Maya held her breath as they activated the transfer. Energy flowed through cables, and the hybrid chamber began to glow with soft blue light. Quantum field generators hummed with power. Then suddenly, everything went quiet. Did it work? Lisa whispered. Maya opened the hybrid chamber. Inside was what looked like a small mass of brain tissue connected to quantum processors by thin golden wires. As they watched, the tissue began to pulse with rhythmic electrical activity. It is alive, Carlos said in amazement. The consciousness survived. The transfer. They placed the hybrid system in a test maze, the same type they had used with the original mouse. To their surprise, the transferred consciousness navigated the maze faster than any normal mouse ever had. It seemed to understand the puzzle in ways that should have been impossible. The consciousness is not just intact, Kevin observed, watching the test results. It is enhanced. The combination of biological tissue and quantum processors has made it smarter than before. Maya felt tears in her eyes. They had done something the greatest alien minds in the galaxy said was impossible. We actually did it. We transferred consciousness without losing anything. But their celebration was cut short the next morning. Maya arrived at the lab to find government vehicles parked outside the hidden entrance. Men in dark suits were loading their equipment into trucks. Agent Smith from the Federation Oversight Committee stood waiting for her. He was a human, but he worked for the aliens now. His job was to make sure Earth followed all Federation rules. About scientific research. "Dr. Collins, you are conducting unauthorized experiments," he said coldly. "This facility is being shut down immediately." "Unauthorized by whom?" Maya demanded. "We are using human volunteers, human money, and human technology. Everything we are doing is legal under Earth law." "Not under Federation law," Smith replied. "The Galactic Council has determined that consciousness transfer research is too dangerous for primitive species. Humans are not mature enough to handle such advanced technology." Maya watched as agents destroyed years of work. They smashed computers, broke apart the hybrid chambers, and deleted all the research data they could find. "You cannot stop human progress forever," she told Smith. "The Federation has decided what is best for humanity," he answered. "Advanced species know better than you do what research should be allowed." As they led Maya away in handcuffs, she smiled slightly. The agents thought they had destroyed everything, but they were wrong. Maya had prepared for this day. Hidden servers around the world had already received copies of all their research data. Secret laboratories in other countries were building their own versions of the hybrid consciousness systems. More importantly, Maya had sent encrypted messages to other species in the galaxy. Not the powerful ones who controlled the Federation, but smaller species who were also tired of being told what they could and could not study. The Arcturians, who lived on the edge of known space. The Deltans, whose peaceful nature had made them targets for Federation control. These species had been quietly watching human progress with great interest. Unlike the Council members, they were impressed by human creativity and determination. Some had even secretly provided funding and materials for human research projects. As the Federation transport ship carried Maya to a prison station orbiting Proxima Centauri, she looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human scientists were continuing their work. The consciousness transfer technology was spreading to laboratories across Earth and beyond. The Federation had tried to keep humanity down by calling them too primitive for advanced science. But all they had done was make humans more determined to prove them wrong. And now, other species were starting to see that maybe the young humans had ideas worth listening to. Maya spent 6 months in the prison station, but she was not worried. Every day, she received secret messages hidden in routine communications. The underground human research network was growing stronger. They had made contact with rebel scientists from a dozen different species who were all working together on projects the Federation had banned. The aliens had refused to teach humans their old ways of doing science, so humans had been forced to create completely new ways. And those new ways were starting to look much better than anything the Federation had ever achieved. When the rescue ships finally came for Maya, she knew that everything was about to change. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you tried to stop human curiosity and determination. It never worked out the way the aliens expected. Maya Collins sat in her small prison cell on the Federation station orbiting Proxima Centauri. The walls were gray metal, and the only window was a tiny square that showed the red dwarf star burning in the distance. She had been here for 6 months, but she was not sad or angry anymore. Instead, she was counting down the hours. The Federation had put her here as an example to other humans. They wanted everyone to see what happened when someone tried to do research without permission. But Maya knew something the aliens did not know. Her imprisonment had made her a hero to humans across the galaxy. Her arrest had been the spark that started a fire. Maya felt a small vibration through the metal floor of her cell. Most people would not have noticed it, but Maya had been expecting it. She looked at the tiny clock on the wall. Right on schedule. The lights in the prison station suddenly went out. Emergency power kicked in a few seconds later, painting everything in red light. Maya heard alarms starting to sound throughout the station. Through her small window, she could see sleek ships approaching the station. They were painted black with silver markings that looked like lightning bolts. "Dr. Maya Collins," came a voice over the communication system. Maya recognized it immediately. It was Dr. Lisa Park, her former research partner. "We are here to get you out, and we have some amazing things to show you." The door to Maya's cell slid open with a hiss. Two humans in black uniforms stood in the hallway, their faces covered by helmets. Behind them, Maya could see alien guards lying unconscious on the floor. "How did you get past Federation security?" Maya asked as they led her toward the docking. "Bay, new technology," one of the rescuers replied. "Based on your consciousness research, we can now disrupt alien nervous systems without causing permanent damage." Their security systems were not designed to handle human quantum field manipulation. Maya was amazed. In just 6 months, her team had developed their research far beyond what she had imagined possible. The rescue ship was unlike anything she had ever seen. It was smooth and curved like a living thing, with surfaces that seemed to shimmer and change as they flew away from the prison station. Maya was taken to the ship's medical bay. What she saw there made her gasp in surprise. In the center of the room stood a perfect consciousness transfer chamber, but it was much more advanced than anything they had built in the Arizona laboratory. The chamber was made of a strange material that looked like crystal and metal mixed together. Quantum field generators surrounded it in a complex pattern. But the most amazing part was the hybrid consciousness matrix inside. It glowed with soft golden light and pulsed like a living heart. "This is incredible," Maya whispered. "How did you build this so quickly?" Dr. Lisa Park removed her helmet, revealing a smile that Maya had not seen in years. "Your initial research was the key that unlocked everything. But we have had help from unexpected places." Lisa led Maya to the ship's bridge, where she could see Earth growing larger in the viewscreen. But it was not the Earth that Maya remembered. Massive space stations orbited the planet, their designs flowing and organic. They looked more like living creatures than machines. "What happened while I was gone?" Maya asked. "A revolution," Lisa replied. "When news of your arrest spread, humans around the world became angry. But more importantly, other species in the galaxy started to pay attention. The Arcturians, the Deltans, even some younger Karathi began to question why the Federation was stopping human research. Dr. Carlos Rivera joined them on the bridge. Maya was happy to see her old friend, but she noticed he looked different. His eyes seemed brighter, and when he moved, there was a strange grace to his actions. "Carlos, are you all right?" Maya asked. He smiled. "Better than all right. I volunteered to be the first human test subject for full consciousness integration. My mind now exists in both biological and quantum states simultaneously. I can think in ways that were impossible before." Maya stared at him in amazement. "You transferred your consciousness into a hybrid system?" "Not transferred," Carlos corrected. "Enhanced. Human consciousness can exist in multiple states at the same time. We do not need to choose between biological and artificial intelligence. We can be both." As their ship approached Earth, Maya could see that the planet had been transformed. The space stations were not just orbiting randomly. They were connected by streams of energy that pulsed with information. It looked like a giant brain made of light and metal. "Each station represents a different aspect of human consciousness research," Lisa explained. "We have shared our technology with species from across the galaxy who are also being suppressed by the Federation Council. The Arcturians provided advanced materials. The Deltans contributed their understanding of quantum field harmonics. Even some rebel Zephyrians have joined us." Dr. Kevin Jang appeared on the viewscreen from one of the orbital stations. Like Carlos, he seemed different. His movements were precise, and his eyes held knowledge that had not been there before. "Maya, welcome back," Kevin said. "You need to see what we have accomplished. We have not just solved consciousness transfer. We have created the first truly collective intelligence that preserves individual identity. Maya watched as the view screen showed the interior of one of the space stations. Beings from dozens of different species worked together in harmony. Humans, Arcturians, Deltans, and others she did not recognize. But the most amazing thing was how they moved together, as if they were all part of the same organism. They are all connected through quantum consciousness networks, Lisa explained. Each person keeps their own thoughts and personality, but they can also access the knowledge and experience of the entire group when needed. A new voice came over the communication system. It was deep and resonant, but somehow familiar. Maya. Collins, this is Commander Jake Mitchell of the Human Liberation Fleet. We have been waiting for your return. Maya remembered Jake Mitchell. He had been a Federation military officer who had always supported human research. Jake, what is your status with the Federation? We declared independence 6 months ago, Jake replied. When they arrested you, 17 human colonies decided they had heard enough Federation rules. We are no longer part of their system. Maya felt a mix of excitement and worry. That means war. It means freedom, Jake corrected. And we are not alone. 43 species have joined what we call the Alliance of Independent Worlds. All of them were tired of the Federation Council telling them what they could and could not study. Lisa showed Maya a star chart on the bridge display. Large sections of the galaxy were now marked in blue instead of the traditional Federation. Gold. The Federation is losing control. Species everywhere are demanding the right to pursue their own scientific research without council approval. And it all started with your consciousness transfer project, Carlos added. When other species saw what humans could accomplish when freed from Federation restrictions, they realized they had been holding themselves back for thousands of years. Maya looked out at the transformed Earth and felt a surge of pride. The Federation had tried to stop human progress by calling them too primitive for advanced research. Instead, they had forced humans to develop technology that was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. What happens now? Maya asked. Now we show the galaxy what real science looks like, Lisa replied. The Federation built their civilization on control and limitation. We are building ours on cooperation and unlimited possibility. Maya smiled as she watched the quantum consciousness networks pulsing with shared knowledge between the stars. The aliens had refused to teach humans their methods, so humans had created something far better. And now, the student was becoming the teacher for an entirely new way of thinking. 2 years after her rescue, Maya Collins stood in the main assembly hall of New Geneva Station. The massive space station floated between Earth and Mars, serving as the headquarters for the Galactic Research Alliance. Through the transparent walls, she could see the most beautiful sight in the known galaxy. Quantum cities drifted in space like living jewels. Each one was a masterpiece of organic architecture, where buildings grew like coral reefs and consciousness flowed like rivers of light between different sections. Beings from over 60 species lived and worked together in these cities, their minds connected through human quantum consciousness technology. Maya wore a simple blue dress as she walked to the speaking platform. Today was special. The former members of the Galactic Academic Council had requested a meeting with her. The same aliens who had rejected her research 7 years ago now wanted to learn from her. The assembly hall was full of beings Maya had never imagined she would see working together. Zephyrians sat next to humans, their crystal bodies chiming in harmony with human laughter. Karathi delegates had their arms intertwined with Deltan philosophers in gestures of friendship. Even some ethereals had taken solid form to better interact. With the other species. At the front of the hall sat the former Federation Council members. The Vorthan who had dismissed her as primitive now watched her with 4 eyes full of respect. The ethereal who had called human technology crude now waited quietly to hear her words. Maya stepped up to the platform and looked out at the audience. 7 years ago, she had stood before 12 aliens who thought humans were too young to contribute to galactic science. Now she stood before thousands of beings from dozens of worlds, all united by human discoveries. 7 years ago, I came before the Galactic Academic Council with a simple idea, Maya began. I believed that consciousness was not just information to be copied, but a living thing that required both quantum fields and biological matter to truly exist. The former Vorthan leader stood up slowly. His skin had changed to a pale blue color that Maya knew meant humility. Dr. Collins, we owe you an apology. We were wrong to dismiss your research. Human consciousness transfer technology has changed everything we thought we knew about the nature of existence. Maya nodded toward the viewing windows where the quantum cities sparkled in space. Those cities represent something that none of our species could have achieved alone. The Zephyrians provided crystalline memory storage that can hold consciousness patterns for thousands of years. The Karathi contributed parallel processing techniques that let minds think about many things at once. A Karathi delegate waved several arms in agreement. And the Deltans taught us how to harmonize quantum fields across vast distances, while the Arcturians gave us materials that can exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. But what did humans contribute? Asked the ethereal representative, its voice now carrying genuine curiosity. Instead of dismissal, Maya smiled and activated a holographic display that showed the quantum consciousness network connecting all the cities. Lines of light pulsed between the structures, carrying thoughts and ideas at faster than light speed. Humans provided the bridge. We discovered that human consciousness can exist in quantum superposition while remaining fully biological. She gestured to the flowing patterns of light. Every other species in the galaxy had to choose between biological intelligence and artificial intelligence. But humans can be both at the same time. We became the living connection that allows all consciousness to merge and separate freely. Dr. Lisa Park joined Maya on the platform. Like many humans now, she existed simultaneously in biological and quantum states. Her body was still human, but her mind could instantly access the knowledge of millions of other beings when needed. The old Federation model was based on control, Lisa explained to the assembly. Each species was locked into their own way of thinking. But the Alliance model is based on sharing. Every being contributes their unique perspective to our collective understanding. Maya walked to a control panel and activated the galaxy-wide consciousness network. Suddenly, every being in the assembly hall could feel the thoughts and experiences of billions of others flowing through their minds. But instead of being overwhelming, it felt natural and peaceful. This is what we have built together, Maya said as the shared consciousness flowed around them. Not a hive mind that destroys individuality, but a network that enhances every person while preserving what makes them unique. The former Vorthan leader's 4 eyes widened as he experienced the network for the first time. This is impossible. How can so many different types of consciousness exist in harmony? Because human quantum consciousness acts as a universal translator. Carlos Rivera explained as he materialized on the platform. His body flickered between solid and energy states, demonstrating the quantum superposition that made the network possible. Human minds can understand and bridge the gap between any type of consciousness. Kevin Zhang appeared next to him, his form also shifting between states. We tested this with over 300 different species. Human consciousness can always find a way to connect with alien thought patterns, no matter how different they are. Maya looked out at the assembly, seeing the wonder in their faces as they experienced true unity for the first time. You tried to teach us that we were too primitive for advanced science, but life itself taught us something you had not learned. Consciousness is not meant to be isolated and competitive. It is meant to be shared and cooperative. The ethereal representative floated closer to Maya. We kept our knowledge separate because we thought it made us stronger. But you have shown us that sharing knowledge makes everyone stronger. The Federation lasted for millions of years, Maya continued, but it never truly grew. Each species stayed locked in their own way of thinking. But in just 7 years, the Alliance has made discoveries that none of us could have imagined alone. She activated another display showing the edge of the galaxy, where Alliance exploration ships were making contact with new civilizations. We are not just changing how we think about consciousness. We are changing how we explore the universe, how we solve problems, how we relate to each other. The former council members looked at each other with expressions Maya had never seen on their faces before. They were smiling. The concept of joy, which had been rare in their rigid Federation system, was spreading through the quantum consciousness network. You refused to teach us your old methods, Maya said, her voice growing stronger. So we created entirely new methods. You thought consciousness was something to be hoarded and protected. We learned that consciousness is something to be shared and grown. She gestured to the quantum cities again, where children from dozens of species played together, while their minds touched the infinite knowledge of the network. Life refused to teach us through your traditional ways, so we learned directly from existence itself. And in doing so, we became the blueprint for what consciousness could truly become. The assembly erupted in sounds of agreement from 60 different species. Chimes, roars, whistles, and human applause filled the air in a symphony of unity. Maya smiled as she looked out at the transformed galaxy. The beings who had once called humans primitive now looked to them for guidance. But the real victory was not human superiority. It was the discovery that consciousness itself had no limits when freed from artificial boundaries. The student had not become the master. The student had become something far better. The blueprint for infinite possibility.